and lead us in a salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Fire Chief Trelawney, can I ask you to come in and talk about our 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony overview from this morning?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. Since December of 2015, one of my goals was to acquire a piece of steel from one of the Twin Towers. Even though the deadline for municipalities to request a piece of steel ended in 2009. Today marks the 17th year anniversary of the terrorist attacks. The attacks were the deadliest terrorist attacks in the world history and the most devastating foreign attack on United States soil since the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. This morning's remembrance, we had the privilege and honor to reveal this piece of steel from one of New York towers found at Ground Zero. Having this piece of steel in our possession is history-making, not only for our city now, but for generations to come. This 12-inch by 12-inch piece of steel is a visual and physical reminder of those horrific events. 343 firefighters died, and another 186 were seriously injured. It has been said the deadliest day in America is still killing people. Since September 11, 2001, an additional 182 firefighters have died due to illnesses related to the attacks. Over 1,000 New York City firefighters have been diagnosed with forms of cancer, respiratory problems, and other 9/11 related illnesses. And it has been stated many times, not once did any of these members who are battling their life-threatening diseases regret responding. The FDNY expects the number of deaths from 9/11 related illnesses to surpass the number of deaths from the attack itself. 23 members of the New York City Police Department lost their lives. 37 members of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey died. 55 military personnel at the World Trade Center site. Out of those 2,749 people that were murdered, 1,122 are unaccounted for. Over 6,000 people were injured. The New York City Fire Department evacuated 35,000 people in 1 hour from the World Trade Center area. This sacred piece of metal will be on permanent display in our firehouse at our Fire Museum, Station 1, 540 Marshall Street for visitors to see and touch. We want you to touch it. We welcome family tours, school tours, and encourage our Turlock residents and visitors to visit our beautiful city and to visit often. The quotes engraved on the base are from FDNY Captain Terry Haddon and my friend firefighter Tim Brown. Tim Brown said, "It took less than 2 minutes from the alarm to sound. Had this alarm come in the middle of the shift instead of the morning, 6 men would have responded. But since the shift had just changed Everyone, all 10 members were present. They all jumped on their engine and sped off to the World Trade Center. Timmy was from a different unit, so he was in the lobby of Tower 1 when Captain Haddon arrived. Timmy said it seemed clear now. The commander of Rescue 1 knew what he and his men would soon be up against. He said, I went over to him. He wrapped his arms around me with his Halligan tool. He gave me a kiss on the cheek, and he said, love you, brother. Don't know if I'll ever see you again. And off he went with his crew into the stairwell to do his job, what firefighters do. When the towers collapsed, Captain Terry Haddon, a lieutenant, and 9 firefighters from Rescue Company 1 were killed. A few days after September 11th, Captain Haddon's wife found out she was pregnant. She said, whether it's a girl or a boy, the baby will be named Terry. Those who died on Rescue 1 left behind mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters, 7 wives, and 16 children. The second quote is from my buddy, firefighter Tim Brown. He told me, he said, hey, Bobby, it didn't matter. Their religious beliefs, political beliefs, color of their skin, or sexual orientation, firefighters were there, risking their lives to save everyone. They didn't ask. That day, 343 firefighters died doing their job. The Turlock City Fire Department is committed to always remembering September 11, 2001. The talented employees of P&F Metals, Sam, Nathan, Brandon, and Francisco, took an idea and ran with it. Fire Captain David Mallory and members of the Turlock Fire Department did an outstanding job creating this beautiful cart. Elegant. They knew the significance of the steel and rose to the occasion. This was a real team effort from start to finish. Yesterday's setup and today's ceremony was covered by Lena from ABC 10 News. The attendance and feedback was outstanding. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak about our 9/11 ceremony. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer it.
No questions from me, but I just want to thank you and the fire department, the police department, maintenance and facilities, everyone who put together this morning's ceremony. It keeps getting better each year, and if you were unable to make it, I know on the City of Turlock's Fire Department Facebook page, you guys recorded it, and you have actually a video of it, so I encourage residents to stop and pause and watch that. The unveiling is extremely moving, and again, our friends from P&F Metals and so many people that put effort into bringing this piece of steel here to Turlock. Can't thank them enough. So thank you so much, Chief, for working hard on that. I don't know if there's any reflections from the council or about the ceremony or 9/11. Yes, Councilmember Scared.
Yes, I just want to say to the chief, to the firefighters, that the ceremony was moving. Thank you for putting it all together. This is beautiful, and I want to applaud.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Any other reflections or comments? All right. Okay, thank you so much, Chief. I appreciate it. All right, moving on to item 2B. All right, will Captain Walker come on up and join me for our next Employee of the Month? Give him a round of applause. Absolutely. How fitting, and so I'm so glad this is. Oh, say, Steve, throw this back up. You just take it back up. Yeah, just wait till you see the picture of Sean. So I think it's just fitting on our 9/11 ceremony that our employee of the month is Fire Captain Sean Walker, who has been doing great work. He and his team have been out on patrol and working, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but just look at that picture. Come on. That's employee of the month written all over it. So that's great. Anyhow, so Sean Walker was hired as a firefighter with Turlock Fire Department on November 16, 2006, and promoted to the rank of captain 4 years ago. Captain Walker was nominated for Employee of the Month not only for his commitment to the department or the effort he places into the development of a behavioral health program for Turlock Fire Department, but also specifically for the extra measures he and his crew performed while on a recent wildland fire deployment. Now, I think I know Captain Walker pretty well, and he'd want his crew to come on up here if they're here. If Cameron, Steven, and Corey, are they in the back, any of them? Come on up. Give them a round of applause. We're representing all three of you. Absolutely. So this crew assisted an evacuee with various tasks as she returned to her property. The crew performed yard maintenance, cleaned and moved a refrigerator into her home, and transferred her goods in and out of the refrigerator. The homeowner was beyond thankful for the assistance as she stated she had no idea how she was going to complete these tasks on her own. These actions are a true reflection of the service Turlock Fire Department strives to provide not only for our community, but to all that they come in contact with. It is just one more example of why we are so supportive of our strike teams, about how they serve other communities just as they serve the city of Turlock. Personal hobbies. Captain Walker and his wife, Jaylene, have one son, age 9, and a daughter, age 8. They enjoy baseball, camping, exploring mountains. A nice quote, I am fortunate to have a great crew. This is from Captain Walker. Great crew which makes the long shifts enjoyable. Not sure why I was nominated, but hopefully this is a credit to all of our Turlock Fire Department employees as they all do a great job daily. Thank you. Congratulations. Absolutely. And then, it's all you.
Thank you very much. Mike?
The mic is yours, absolutely.
All right. As it says on here, this is just a reflection of all our guys. They do a fantastic job every day. And on today, 9/11, it's a pretty big day, so it's humbling to be able to receive this today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Moving on, Planning Commission, we have one commissioner appointment to make. I'd like to nominate Anakin Varani if there is a motion and a second for that. Do I have
Second?
So we have a motion by Vice Mayor Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Dehart. Clerk, please call the roll.
Appointing Anakin Varani to fill a vacancy on the Planning Commission for a term set to expire on December 31st, 2021. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soiseth.
Yes, motion carries 5-0, and I'm going to actually ask Anakin Varani to come up if she wants to say a few words. I did warn you, so this is if you get past theirs. Come on up. And give her a round of applause for her nomination and acceptance.
I thought you were kidding.
No.
So 17 years ago, I lived in New York and I lived in Manhattan, and it was the most moving, scaring day of my life. And that day, my husband and I devoted ourselves to our community, and we knew we were going to eventually come to Turlock. And we promised that we would always dedicate our time, our energy, and our resources to wherever we lived to make a difference, because 9/11 made a difference in our lives. It's ironic 17 years later to the day, I'm appointed on Planning Commission, because I also believe that, sorry, it's an emotional day because it's 9/11, but I also believe that charity best served is when it starts at home and then you expand. So I thank you guys all for the nomination and the vote, and I promise to do my best for Turlock. Thanks.
Well, thank you in advance. Thank you. All right, Pet of the Month, presented by Animal Services Supervisor Glenna Jackson. You've been on a streak of pretty cute pets, so let's see if we
I'm gonna
keep it
out
going.
the park with this one. And you'll see why when we get to that point. Again, Pet of the Month is sponsored by our Turlock Management Association, which is police and fire managers who pay all the fees for the spay, neuter, microchip, first vaccine, and license for City of Turlock residents. Want to let you know this is Skipper. Now, Skipper is the little black and tan one on the side there. And not only did she get new parents, she got a new best friend. So he came and visited her, and they actually picked each other out. So Skipper is doing really well in this house. So when I had to go pick the Pet of the Month this month, I always have to struggle because there's been so many of them. But the reason why this one picked me was because its impound number was 911. So this happens to be Spirit. She is a 6-month-old terrier mix female. She was actually an owner surrender, so she comes to us already housebroken, and she is good with other dogs, and she has loves little children. So she's looking for a new home. I'm sure we'll have a line tomorrow. This month we have a back to school special. Our officers are out giving out free rabies coupons for those individuals who need rabies shots for their pets. They can just simply have a nice conversation without us giving them a ticket. We'll do it just because we like you. And you can also come to the shelter and give one, and it's good at 4 participating vets to get a free rabies vaccine for the month of September. I also like to say that I didn't put a flyer in, but we are doing a special right now on cat adoptions for $10 because we have so many cute kittens out there, and that $10 covers spay and neuter and a microchip. So have them while they last. And in addition, just to remind everybody that our spay and neuter vouchers are still available for your personal pets. $50 includes spay and neuter and microchip, rabies shot, and that first year license, so get them while they last. And always come and visit us, see us on Facebook. And one more thing for 9/11, on our Facebook page today, we posted a picture of Cyrus. And Cyrus was one of the first bomb detection dogs who entered on 9/11, and he actually died that day. And he's been a poster in our office since 9/11. So I put him on there today as a tribute as well to let you know that our furry friends also contributed to the lives being saved there. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn, for all your hard work that you Perfect. We have no special briefings tonight. I do have a quick announcement. At 6:30 sharp, we are going to take a quick 1-minute segue to get President Jung from Stanislaus State on the phone to address an item. She's joining us by teleconference, and so that is just something we'll do. But we will continue for public participation. This is time set aside for the public to address the council on any item that they'd like. You'll be limited to 5 minutes. Let's start off with Mr. Andrew Nazarati.
Hello, Mayor, Council, City staff, and members of the community that are here today. I do want to apologize because the message today is not directly intended for any of you here today. It's directed for those that do not make it to these meetings. It's for those of you that do not participate in this process. My name is Andrew Nasrati, and I'm running for City Council in District 3. And the overwhelming majority of the people in this town will not know my name by the election on November 6th. Optimally speaking, every citizen is a registered voter, and every registered voter votes and votes informed. They know their candidates and are able to meet them and ask them their questions and receive honest feedback. They don't rely on the opinion of a blogger or vote based on the number of lawn signs that they see outside their house. They don't let endorsements and money determine who the winners of our elections are. But we don't live in that world. I'm going to do my best to get in front of every one of you, knock on your doors, and show up at the events. But that's still only going to engage a fraction of our community. I'm here today to ask, what can we do for more of our members to participate in this process, to be engaged and to give to this town? One of the most frequent questions I ask when I knock on the doors is, do you know who your council member is? Do you know who you're voting for? And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority do not know who represent them. In District 3, we have a situation where there are over 9,000 registered voters, and I'm the only person that felt compelled to run. While maybe I am benefiting from a reduction in competition here, I know that a community benefits when there are more people vying to be the voice of it. I will tell you that it was not easy for me to come to the point where I thought I was qualified to run. For a majority of my life, I didn't feel like it was even an option. For one reason or another, I felt like it wasn't my room to enter. Then I showed up. I showed up to these meetings and I started talking to each and every one of you. I spoke to everyone that would listen. And, well, the thing that became increasingly apparent is there's absolutely no separation between the people that want to speak and the people that speak for us, besides a willingness and desire to show up and give to their community. I'm not here to suggest that every person should run for office, but I do want more of us to know who's representing us. Why is it that so many people that I knock on their doors know the names of 3 members or 3 candidates for the mayoral race, but don't know the current person representing them? A strong city is led by more than one man or one woman. We need a strong council to sit alongside whoever comes out of this mayoral race. And we need an engaged community contributing to the conversation. We need a council that will show up with new ideas and contribute to the betterment of the city and the energy to be the leader of the city that they represent. Every door I knock on reminds me that we are not there. Every door I knock on reminds me how far we have to go. But I'm not discouraged because I know it's possible. I've seen it taking shape in my campaign. When we do not participate, we have a city whose future is decided for us by a small number of men and women we will never know. Again, I'm not asking you all to run for office. I'm not even asking for you to vote for me today. I'm only asking that you get to know who the candidates are. Who will be the voice of this city when November 6th comes? The 4 council members and the mayor are the 5 voices to represent our city. They will shape its future. Know who you are presenting that opportunity to. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Diane Bartlett, we'll get you in before 6:30.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Good evening. My name's Diane Bartlett. I'm with the Turlock Public Library. And you know, the Turlock Library is your library. Don't get me wrong. I often come and talk about the programs we offer to all our citizens. But this month, I kind of wanted to focus on opportunities that are available to everyone in the county, because we are one of the 13 Stanislaus County Public Libraries. So first of all, we have the All Kids Craft Fair. It takes place in Modesto on October 13th. But anyone aged 7 to 14 can sign up to make things and sell them at the All Kids Craft Fair. Everything is made and sold by kids, and things sell best if they're $1 and under. So whether or not you are 7, 14 and creative, or if you want to shop and find fantastic gifts, remember the All Kids Craft Fair. And then the Teen Read Week Anime Day, they are having a contest for ages 10 to 18. You can design an original anime-themed bookmark. The winning design will be announced in Salida Branch on Saturday, October 20th. But everyone in the county is invited to participate in that if you're within those age range. And then finally, this Saturday in Modesto on the portico from 10 to 1, come and see local authors. And I think there are even some from Turlock area. So that's Saturday the 15th from 10 till 1. And enjoy your public library. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Diane. I appreciate it. All right, with that, if we can take a quick pause from public participation and get President John on the line, that'd be great. And then actually, can I take a 1-minute break? Yeah, I'm going to take just a quick 1-minute break to allow Stacy to get her online and let our Stanislaus State employees set up the presentation.
Hello, this is Ellen.
Hi, Ellen. It's Stacy from the city of Turlock. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, bring it back. Hi, Ellen. This is Mayor Soyseth. How are you?
Hi, Ms. Beth. I'm good.
Good, good. All right, I just brought it. I brought the council meeting back to order. This is in regards to item 8B, a request to approve the formation of the City of Turlock and Stanislaus State University Joint Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion. Would you like to kick us off, Ellen?
Well, actually, we've been working very closely with Bob Lawton. Is Bob there?
Yep, actually, the city manager is going to kick it off.
Well, I was actually going to
Yeah,
put the ball across the plate and then let Ellen step up and hit it. But we'll get our sports metaphors now. Yeah, I'd be happy to start off. Joint discussions and joint efforts to address issues of diversity and inclusion began 3 years ago with the city and the university. They continued under President Jun and current city administration. We had summits or discussions in 2016 and most recently in February of 2018, and then later in the spring there was yet another summit to address questions of diversity and how we move forward together. The community, the city, and the university. It's been a matter of some concern. We've had some unfortunate incidents here in the city that thankfully have represented the exception rather than the rule. But having an opportunity, a venue to exchange experiences, cultural insights, a place and an opportunity for people to get together regardless of their background makes our community stronger and empowers us to respond more effectively when any one of us is under attack or challenge. My thanks to the staff of the university for their efforts in assembling some of the items you'll see here in the slideshow, for looking at how other cities have approached this. And this is not a county, it's not a city production, it's not a university production. It's a joint effort on the part of staff, inclusive of members of our community, students, and representatives from city agencies. I'd like at this point now to let Ellen know that the ball is over the plate, letters high,
Okay.
and it's time to get that bat off your shoulder.
All right, thank you, everyone. And thank you for letting me call in. I'm at the Board of Trustees for the CSU, and we're at the Board of Trustees dinner. But I stepped out because I thought it was so important to be able to share with you some of the progress that's come out of the joint city-university meetings over the past 3 years. And as Bob said, it started even prior to my arrival with President Shealy. So I think someone is running the PowerPoint slides, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably on, are you on page 1?
Yes.
Okay, so if you switch to page 2, I think that just reiterates and reaffirms that we have such a wonderful history here in Turlock in terms of celebrating and strengthening our amazing community, and just it's a joy to be in Turlock. And then you can see in the center, Turlock is very blessed to have, of course, we have City Hall and the university in the sort of the center of the picture there. But to have a university and a city working together hand in hand with the 10,000 students that we bring to campus from throughout the 8-county region is especially noteworthy. And as Bob said, a lot of the stuff that the campus has been doing with regard to supporting diversity and inclusion will continue. But now we were wondering how many other cities have this kind of joint partnership. It's interesting. We did the research to find out there are many, many campuses that have diversity and inclusion efforts underway at a campus level. And then there are cities also that have city efforts to focus on being affirming and welcoming to all residents in the city. So we found a couple of them I just wanted to showcase. There's quite a few around the country, but The slide 3 shows an example of Beaverton, Oregon. So they have something that's been in existence, I think, at least 6 years or something. And so this is in Oregon, and they have a what they call a diversity advisory board there, and it has it advises the mayor and city council on strategies to strengthen connection. And there are 13 members. They're appointed for 3-year terms, et cetera, et cetera. They actually produce a plan, so that's on the slide. It's a picture of the cover of the plan, and you can read it in more detail. There's a photograph of some of the members. And you can see on the next slide, slide 4, what they view as their goals. And so what the city manager and the university are presenting tonight is not exactly, we're not duplicating exactly what other places have done, but we're starting off and saying what would be good for our community, our city, and our university. So if you go to slide 5, here's another example from Renton, Washington. And that's in Washington. It's a much larger, about 30,000 larger than Turlock, so 107,000 residents, but they are also seeing growth in diversity and a chance to bring the community together. So, as Bob said, the various summits that the university and campus have been convening, all kinds of leaders in the community, whether they be faith-based, organizationally based, Turlock Unified School District, et cetera, police, et cetera, safety groups, have asked over the course of the last several summits about could we have some kind of a joint, more formal opportunity to come together on a more regular basis to have a purpose. And the purpose is on that 6th slide that says, conceptually, what we'd like to do is build relationships between members and leaders of the Turlock community and to address issues of inclusion and diversity within Turlock with the goal of making us a city that feels welcoming for all residents by fostering inclusion, belonging, and acceptance. And we want to bring together a diverse group of people representing, for example, those are just some of the members to start with. And then if you go to the next slide, the charge would be that working together, the city and state would coordinate, encourage, implement initiatives and activities, to promote an inclusive community that reflects the diversity of all the cultures in their city. And then the next slide shows you some of the strategies. And these, of course, can evolve over time, but what we've said, for example, is that we could host educational, cultural lectures, events, activities, gather data on relevant diversity topics or issues that may be raised by residents or others or by the city council, establish regular communication, consultation between the city and university, develop a list of stakeholder resources for future activities, build stronger relationships with safety groups such as Turlock Police, University Police, schools, etc., safety vehicle organizations, and then very much more to enhance our communication. So the university would be willing to create and manage a website, a joint diversity inclusion website that would be visible on both the city and the university. And we would help to develop brochures and posters to promote the events, compile a list of these resources, and we'd be willing to produce an annual report of what the activities are and what the outcomes. And I think a very important piece to note here is that we do not anticipate any fiscal, budgetary impact to the city of Turlock because many of these activities, we're so invested in wanting to make sure that we're part of the city that we would fund and budget. We've already budgeted for many of these activities already. So it would not cost the city additional funding that we would not have to budget for. And then in terms of membership, what we thought to start with is that the term limits, just like in other cities, would be members would serve up to 3 years. We'd approximately have maybe 15 members, and that there could be a possibility for renewal for ensuring continuity in membership, that we would start off with having meetings once a month for 2 hours on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8. and that in addition, the Joint Task Force would definitely create subcommittees with additional members for special topics, with, expert topics in different areas, and that all the meetings, of course, would be open. Of course, we'd welcome the public to attend all meetings as observers and potentially as participants as well. So the next slide shows you sort of a kind of an outline of who those 15 members might be. So obviously it would start with the city manager, and then if the city manager couldn't be there, a representative. I feel this is so important too, to do this jointly with the city, that I would be there as a co-chair or co-organizer, maybe facilitator. And then of course we list the school district has to be involved. We'd have at least 2 community reps, a faith-based organization, at least 2, one state faculty or staff, the Turlock Police Department, the University Police, high school student, a Stan State student, and of course community residents as well. And we've even gone to the point where we have created a draft to apply. So there's about 6 or 7, 8 things for people to. It's an online application, so you just go on. Obviously, you can see on the next slide, you just type in your name, your title, etc., why you're interested in serving, describe your experiences, qualifications, what do you hope to contribute, and then attach a resume. So we're proposing that the Turlock City Manager and the University leadership would review the applications and recommend members to the JTDI for ratification by the Turlock City Council. And if we wanted to begin to make some progress this year, we thought that it is possible to be able to do this. We could send out blasts, emails, and newsletters. We both have a variety of communication means already. And to give about a month, a little less than a month, for individuals to apply. We didn't want to make the application too onerous, but we wanted to have people who are really committed and willing to give up, their Wednesday night to work on this. I think what would be a wonderful chance to communicate and share resources and improve the sense of welcoming, belonging, and togetherness in the city. So that's in a nutshell. I'm going very quickly, but I know you have many items on your agenda, so we're open to questions.
All right, thank you so much, Ellen. Are there any questions from the council or from the audience at this time? Questions from the audience at this time? No real questions. Naisha, do you have anything to add?
No, not at this time.
All right, city manager.
And then, by the way,
Yes, please go
it's
ahead.
not in the presentation itself, but what I would say is that since this is the first, if the council votes yes, first of all, I would be jumping up and down with excitement because I think it is an unusual thing to find a city and a university pairing together. Because in our search on the internet, we could not find another city, at least that has a website that talks about this. So we could be a first of its kind, and certainly maybe in our region. But the second thing is, since it's brand new in its infancy, what I would recommend is that we would come back to the council, maybe even on a monthly, bi-monthly basis, to give you a report. If you didn't want to take up time from your council meetings, we could submit a written report. So you could hear what progress is being made, and absolutely the ideas that you would like for the council, the joint task force to address. And we're there for a resource, and we're there at your beck and call in terms of what city council would like to see happen in the future. So it is kind of an evolving proposal, but we'd like to get it started, and that's why we're sort of putting this together.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I'm looking at Diane Bartlett in the audience, and she gives us routine updates on the library, and we enjoy that because we know what's going on in the community, because it's a sense of the pulse of what's going on. So I think that's a great idea. City manager, Councilmember Scare?
Yes, I just have a quick question and comment. First, I saw the list of possible applicants. Is there any kind of eligibility requirements? I mean, how are we going to advertise this so anybody that's interested?
Yes. Well, we do ask that people submit a resume, right?
Okay.
So we do want to see that people have genuine interest and hopefully some level of expertise or contribution per their constituency group. And we honestly don't know how many people would apply. So that list of possible representatives could evolve depending on the number of applicants and if we've missed or overlooked particular groups. So we want to be flexible and allow people to apply and then see how it goes. And by the way, we are trying to be in contact with some of these other cities to find out from their experience. They've been running it for more than 6 years in some cases. What their experience has been. Is there somebody we're forgetting? Who would they suggest other possible reps? So that would be something that we would come back to the council for once the applications come in to tell you what happened and what recommendations, and to get your feedback before finally endorsing or ratifying the full membership.
Okay, and then the comment I wanted to make is I think this is a really good idea because I remember the early days, and it always seemed like the university was out there and that was one community and Turlock was a separate community. And that created a few issues at the beginning, and it lasted for many years. So I think we're on a great path.
I agree.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Councilmember,
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear this.
we're only laughing, Ellen, because there's a slight pause, so it just your oh came out of nowhere. So yeah, go on.
Okay. Sorry.
So I see here it says that there's one high school student position. We have charter, we have Christian schools,
Yes.
we have TUSD. So I would hope that we
Well,
might
here-
be able to add one more and
Yes.
and
Sure.
really blast that out, because there's a lot of different. We want the youth to start now to get involved as well, and they see the world in a different way than us. It kind of will complement the other
Well,
portion.
So here's the thing. We can absolutely make room for more students from Christian school plus the public and et cetera. But as you note in the note, we said we will create subcommittees. So I can envision clearly that we should have a subcommittee just of high school students. Then maybe one or two from each school, right? And they would have a different lens, a different perspective. And of course, the schools are doing cool things within their own school settings and in Turlock Unified to further this sense of community. So that would be clearly a good constituency group to have of just students that would help inform us, because we'd have more students meeting independently and then telling the joint task force what's going on and how it could inform, our activities as well.
Great. City Manager.
Yeah, if I might, Mr. Mayor, it's important to remember that this is the first step toward an organization. And to use the academic term, the distributive requirements that are set forth here are not meant to be limiting, but they are meant to focus our attention on different areas. Could we go back one to where we had, no, I guess I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. Just to make sure that we at least reach into certain areas, and I think if we had some compelling candidates from different high schools or compelling candidates who are state students, it would be possible to make the group, to expand the size of the group. But we did want to make sure that we reached into as many different areas of the community. And then, of course, the 3 community resident slots that aren't allocated or directed toward any particular occupation or representation is kind of another opportunity for folks to be on. So what we'd like to encourage, if we're successful in getting approval tonight, is step forward, make yourselves available, join the group, give us an opportunity to visit with you about what your interests are.
So moved.
All right.
I have one,
Yeah, do you have
I'd like to offer one
I'll give you-
friendly suggestion to change the motion, if I might.
Okay.
And this would be approving the city's participation in the City of Turlock and Stanislaus State University Joint Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion. If we could substitute that for the motion that's found on the staff report, that's the desire of council.
You got it, sis? So moved.
All right, do I have a second then? All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Bublak, second by Councilmember DeHart. Clerk, please read back and call the roll.
Approving the city's participation in the City of Turlock and Stanislaus State University Joint Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisek.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much for all your hard work to your entire staff, Ellen, and for your hard work, City Manager. Thank you for putting the time and effort into this, and we're looking forward.
Well, woohoo! Thank you so much. I'm so excited. We'll see you soon.
The dramatic pause just helps your woohoo a lot. Yeah, it does. Oh, hey, Dr. Strong. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. We are going to jump back to public participation, a regular spot in the agenda, and start off with Charlie Leffingwell. Charlie, come on up.
Hello, council. I'm here again. I'm a general contractor, work primarily in the city of Turlock. It's kind of hard to do business on a day of remembrance like today, but that's exactly, I guess, why we're doing business on a day like today, to remind our enemies that they cannot change our way of life and they cannot take away our freedoms. And if we want to do business today, we'll do it. If we want to do it tomorrow, we'll do it. So today, I have my business. About a year ago, I started talking to all the different people and gone up the ladder, trying to get information about permits for water softeners and also retrofit windows in the city of Turlock. I've asked at the last meeting, I was here and haven't heard anything, so I'm here to ask if there's anything that has happened. I was in the city of Modesto building department today and was talking to them about the permits there. They don't require a permit at all for a water softener. As long as it's just being changed in and out, there's no permit. In order for a permit to be involved, they have to have more than 6 feet of plumbing, and then they would require a permit. Since last year when I started this, my largest client, which is Lowe's, has not sold a water softener in the city of Turlock because a $283 permit fee is just way too expensive. And so I imagine somebody has bought a water softener in the city of Turlock and probably installed it themselves. And if they did so, they probably installed the drain part of that incorrectly, which endangers the water system in Turlock. And from changing many of these myself, if a homeowner's done it, I can bet you it's been done incorrectly, and I've got to correct it so that the water system is safe. So, as I said last time, the surrounding jurisdictions, their permit fees for water softeners is around $50. The city of Turlock, I think, needs to come in line with the adjoining jurisdictions. As far as the window retrofits, I believe we shouldn't have a permit at all for that. There's no reason because nothing changes. You take out the old windows, you improve it by putting in the new retrofit windows, and it's not necessary to have a permit for those. The only time the city inspects it is at the end of the job, which is nothing. And so it wastes the time of our building officials to go out there and look at it. And so I would ask again, remove the permits for the retrofit windows. You could remove the permits for the water softeners or at least reduce the price. So my question is, have you had a chance to do anything about that? You said when the new city manager would come in, that he would wave his magic wand and everything would be wonderful. So, no, they didn't really say that. But they were hoping for that to happen, I think.
No, but perhaps
So anyway.
briefly, because I know it's public participation, but briefly, if the city manager or Nathan has feedback on this. Nathan, do you have anything on this?
I don't have feedback, no, but I can look into it for that.
Absolutely. So, city manager, if you can give your information, and perhaps meet tomorrow or the following day and see where we're at on this.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is the same thing I've got for the last year.
Okay.
So I hope the city will act upon it.
Councilmember Scare?
Just quick, I vaguely remember him coming before, and I thought we were already looking into the water softeners and
Mhm.
a couple of things, so I hope that we are working on it.
Right. Yeah, it's now Nathan. You might have something.
Yeah, I'll check with our building official. I believe he was the acting interim Director of Development Services at that time. So I will check with him, and I will get back to the city manager tomorrow on that.
Absolutely, and I don't think that there's anyone on this council that disagrees with having a really high permit that dissuades people from installing something that sometimes costs less than the permit. So let's definitely have staff look into it, and then the city manager can bring a recommendation back to the council.
Well, and I think that's probably true. I just would like some action.
Okay, I mean, that's why the city manager will look into it.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And will I need to call back to find out?
So if you
or-
want, if you have your contact information, you can leave it with Stacy, and then we'll call you.
I would
Stacy?
appreciate that.
Absolutely. Can you take it? Perfect. Oh, you have it? For the blue card.
It's on the blue card.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. All right, anybody else from the audience like to address the council on any item? Okay, closing public participation, motion waiving reading of all ordinance on the agenda except by title.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Councilmember, Vice Mayor Jacob. Clerk, please call the roll.
Waiving reading of all ordinances on the agenda except by title. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisek.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Declaration of conflicts of interest and disqualifications, looking left and right, seeing none. Disclosure of top 10 maximum contributors can be found within the agenda. Moving on to the consent calendar, I believe Councilmember DeHart has asked for some items. Which ones? I have C, F, and P.
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any other items? And by the way, on item F, there's a green sheet to it. Are there any other items to be removed for separate consideration?
Yes, I requested 5H.
H, okay.
Was it H or F?
Yeah, it's H.
Yes. And E.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
At least I have to step back.
All right. So, what is the pleasure of the council on the items on the consent calendar, less items C, E, F, H, and P? What is the pleasure of the council?
Advance consent.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Councilmember Scare. Clerk, please call the roll.
Adopting the amended consent calendar. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisek.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Councilmember DeHart, can we take C, F, and P together, or would you like them separate?
Actually, Mayor, what I'd like to do is just,
Yeah,
I'd like to make comments on each one. I don't know that there's necessarily a requirement for presentation. I do believe that we do need to ensure that, I guess as is my customer preference, anything that appears on our consent that's 100,000 or more, that we at least have understanding of what we're blanket approving. In this particular case, this is a big deal. Not because of the size of the money, but because of the project that it's going to support. Item C has to do with the controlled access and the TV monitoring system at the new transit center. And yes, it's a large sum of money, but yes, it has in fact been designated through our LTF funds. And so I think we're on solid footing with this. I wanted to bring it to the attention of my fellow council members, number one, but to the attention of our community. And Mr. Bray, unless you have some additional amplifying comments on this, just understanding that really assured me that this was appropriately placed once discussed.
Yeah, excellent. Everything you mentioned is correct. The funding is provided solely by transit funding. It has been budgeted. It has been included in the transit claim. And this service will provide access control for the newly constructed transit center prior to our transit operations moving into the building.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Would you like to advance?
Unless there's any comment from anybody else in the audience or whatever, I would certainly advance the item.
All three items, or just the one?
Just that one.
Okay, just that one. Okay. What is the pleasure? Second on item C? Sorry. All right, there we go. So a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Vice Mayor Jacob, to advance item C. Clerk, please call the roll.
Determining city project number 12-60D, Transit Center, CCTV, and access control is exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, in accordance with Section 15301, existing facilities, and Section 15332, infill development projects of the CEQA guidelines. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisa.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. You don't get 2 votes, Councilman DeHart. I'm sorry. I apologize. Item F.
I have the motion.
Oh, you have a second. Go for it.
Awarding bid and approving an agreement in the amount of $294,733 with Conti Corporation, Inc. of Sacramento, California for city project number 12-60D, Transit Center, CCTV, and access control. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisa.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item F.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I just want to bring to the attention, and we do in fact have a green sheet which corrected any concerns that I had about it. This having to do with phone systems in the original contract, and we were adding on an additional $11,000 for the transit system. The $200 and some odd thousand cited previously, eliminated by the green sheet, has in fact already been closed out. So we're now adding on simply an $11,000 figure for phone system for the transit center only. That's well within my guidelines, I think anybody's guidelines, certainly to get the project off the ground. And unless there's comments or questions, I would advance.
Any comments or questions? Any from the audience? All right, what's the pleasure of the council on this item?
I'll advance. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, seconded by Councilmember Esquer. Clerk, please call the roll.
Approving amendment number 1 to an agreement with Packet Fusion, Inc. for city project number 1260C, Turlock Regional Transit Center, Phase 2, in the amount of $11,827.13, bringing the contract total to $252,043.56. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisa.
Yes, motion carries 5-0, and as was stated, we have no resolution to consider, thanks to the green sheet. Moving on to item P, Councilmember DeHart.
Yes, Mayor. Once again, item P, double the number. It's over or right at $500,000. And I think that one of the things we need to keep in mind here, these are for replacement police vehicles. Vehicles that have either come to the end of their usable service life as determined by the amount of dollars spent in maintenance or preservation as opposed to what it would cost to replace them. And so mileage, I guess, is another, as you look at the resolution and the motion, the background information, most of these vehicles, I would consider them actually to be middle mileage type vehicles, but not for police vehicles, not the type of mileage that they endure. These are funds that in every case we have set aside to replace on a scheduled basis. This is not something new. These are funds that we have in fact identified in need to replace these vehicles. So I'm satisfied that the numbers we have before us are in fact not only appropriate, but they certainly support the needs of our police, our detectives, and patrol staff, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm satisfied with the number, and unless there's comments or questions, unless you do, Captain Williams or anybody
Very
else.
well stated.
What can I say?
I agree with everything you've said. These are replacement vehicles that have a budget assigned to it. It is a combination of maintenance dollars spent, miles of the vehicle, engine hours of the vehicle, and usability of the vehicle. These are hard miles that we put on the vehicles. So as you said, just gauging it by the mileage alone is not adequate because we use police vehicles different than we use everyday vehicles in other situations. So if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, any other questions? Yes, please come forward.
Could you inform me of the year and mileage, just for reference?
So the question was a year and miles, I'm just stating for the,
Thank you. So the year and mileage of the vehicle, what the request in item P is authorization from the city council to replace 10 different vehicles within the police department. So each of those are different uses, different types, different makes, and different mileages.
all right, thanks. Any additional questions or comments from the council or audience? I like it, yeah. All right, bring it back. What's the pleasure of the council on this item?
I'll advance.
Do I have a second? We have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Vice Mayor Jacob. Clerk, please call the roll.
Approving the purchase and delivery of 4 replacement marked police vehicles, 2 replacement administration vehicles, and 1 replacement detective vehicle from Downtown Ford Sales, Sacramento, California, through the City of Sacramento contract number C2016-0531, and approving the purchase and delivery of 2 replacement marked police vehicles and 1 replacement detective vehicle from Winter Chevrolet, Sacramento, California, through the State of California contract numbers 1-18-23-10 and 1-18-23-23, in a total amount not to exceed $476,380 from account number 506-000-213-51020, police equipment replacement, without compliance to the formal bid process in accordance with Turlock Municipal Code Section 2-7-08B4, and declaring vehicle surplus once replaced. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soisek.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Let's jump up to item H. Councilmember Esquer.
Yes, I pulled that one because I had a question and I couldn't really answer, so I figured we'd get a little bit more information. The question was as to, okay, it's a Ford Explorer, $31,000 Ford Explorer for the transit use only, correct?
That is correct.
And the question that came to me is, why do we need to get them a Ford Explorer? Why can't we get them a Ford Fusion?
In terms,
31,000 compared to 20,000 or 25,000. That was the question that came.
yeah, in terms of the specific use, there are times where our transit staff is hauling equipment that the Ford Fusion cannot. The Ford Explorer will match, we have existing 1 Ford Explorer already, so this will match the same fleet. And this is being done in advance of the transit staff moving out to the transit center, where they will no longer have access to pool vehicles. As it stands right now within engineering, they could borrow a truck. And so if they were staying within the engineering department, maybe that would be a different situation, but since they'll be at the transit center, it's recommended Ford Explorer.
Are these general fund dollars that we're talking about?
They are not, no, these are transit funds. They are identified in the transit budget and in the transit TDA claim as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Additional comments or questions from the council or the audience on this item? Yes.
Bob Puffer, 3040 Augsburg Court. So we have one existing transit vehicle now. And you're saying that occasionally we have to haul something in that vehicle that a regular car could not do.
No, there's, so we currently have 3 employees in the transit operations. And there are numerous times where those employees are at different events, they're at different meetings, and they are doing different things with their transit operator store that necessitate having the ability to be able to haul that special equipment.
Okay, but if we have one vehicle already that can haul special equipment, couldn't we have a second vehicle that's just designated to haul people at a much less price?
Council could choose to go that way. The amount of equipment that you're hauling and the sporadic nature of is the transit staff going to be in Modesto at different meetings? Are we helping out the transit operator store? That it is recommended to allow for greater flexibility, the Ford Explorer, but the council could choose to not approve this and explore a Ford Fusion. There is adequate time to do so.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crawford, you have additional?
You said that the money comes from the transit expenses, and so if we didn't spend $31,000, wouldn't that help your cost to fare balance that you're always worried about too?
Unfortunately, no. The fare recovery ratio takes a look at the operational costs. This is considered a capital cost, and so all of the costs associated with the transit center itself are not included in that fare recovery ratio.
Okay. Just a couple more. Are these cars going to be parked at the new transit center and guarded by the cameras at night, or are they being taken home, or what?
Yeah, the vehicles will be parked at the transit center where we will have security.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Additional comments? All right. Additional comments from the council? Yeah.
So you just caught my attention. So you said we'll have security. Are you presuming that's police? Because I believe the chief spoke earlier at one of the meetings that said until such time as his deployment on patrol was filled, we wouldn't have anybody there. Are you saying security means police?
I'm saying security means site security. It was envisioned at an earlier part of the year where we would have 2 full-time police officers. There have been some revisions to the staffing levels, and so staff is currently exploring providing a private security firm to fill in the gap until we are able to further explore hiring police officers. So the intent is still to have security. It may not be through Turlock Police.
Yeah, and I think that's good to explore that because in talking to local businesses around the transit center, and part of the discussion when it first came in was that there would be on-site security, and I think that we need to provide that in some manner. While police officer would be perfect, and that's the ideal, I think that the second best is to look at this, and there's room in the transit budget for this. Correct?
There is room in the transit budget. It's a changing of the funds from the full-time police officers to a private security firm.
Correct. Okay, great. Additional comments and questions from the audience or the council? Okay, what's the pleasure of the council on this item?
I'll advance, Mayor.
Okay, do you have a second on this one?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, seconded by Councilmember Scare. Clerk, please call the roll.
Approving the purchase and delivery of one 2019 Ford Explorer from Downtown Ford Sales of Sacramento, California, to be used solely as a transit service management vehicle by city transit staff through the State of California Contract Number 1-18-23-23A in an amount not to exceed $31,440 without compliance to formal bid procedure pursuant to Turlock Municipal Code Section 2-7-08B4 under City Project Number 18-45. Councilmember Scare?
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart?
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Mayor Soiseth?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. On to item E. Actually, even though there is no conflict, to be consistent with my position with the Regional Surface Water project, I'm going to step out for this. And Vice Mayor, can you handle this item?
I actually asked to pull the item. I think the question, or maybe if, Michael, if you're able to present on this, I just wanted to get some more information. I know that it's an additional expenditure for the treatment facilities, so if you can clarify if that's going to add, if this is in addition to costs, and potentially if that will be then burden upon the ratepayers, or if you can explain.
So this acquisition cost was included in the original cost estimate of the project that what you received when we went through the Proposition 218 process to increase rates. So it won't affect the rate structure going forward. And a recommendation to purchase this property rather than lease it or get some type of temporary construction easement, because the pipeline will actually run perpendicular right through the middle of the property. It was the best way to meet the railroad standards and TID irrigation district standards, so the pipeline can go under the canal and under the railroad crossing. When we're done there, not only will it be a pipeline through the middle of the property, but there will be some air relief valves, some other valves, and some large vaults for staff to access, which right in the middle of the property would render that property less than usable. So we felt the fair thing to do was actually to purchase the property rather than try to lease it or put a construction easement, or permanent easement right through the middle of the gentleman's property. But again, it won't affect the rates because the $18,000 for acquisition was included as part of the estimated costs.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience on this item, or council? Yeah.
Just a quick
Councilmember
comment.
Scar?
And, yeah, I had forwarded this question to Nathan earlier too, because I had some concerns as to the purchase versus the lease. And he explained to me that we are actually still using the property for other city storage and facilities. So that's why the purchase was better. I also had a question on the possible contamination of levels, since we're drilling, or we're boring under the tracks and the canal, but they said that we're okay, so they've already done the test. So unless anybody else have any question, I'm willing to move this forward.
Just have a comment real quick.
Here, I'll move it up. Maybe Gil, if you want to turn yours off so that you can turn yours on.
So in being consistent with the fact that I'm concerned right now that this water project's gonna cost too much, that our ratepayers aren't ready for this, then I just want to in advance and identify that I'm not in support of this, so that it doesn't, my no just doesn't come out of thin air.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Escar, seconded by Councilmember DeHart. Clerk, can you please read back the motion?
Approving a purchase sale agreement with Tom C. Moat and Frida J. Moat for city project number 17-29, Regional Service Water Supply Project in the amount of $18,300. Councilmember Escar?
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart?
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak?
No.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes. Motion carries 3-1. With one abstention.
Moving on, thank you so much, Vice Mayor. Moving on to final readings. Clerk, can you please read the ordinance title and call the roll?
Amending Turlock Municipal Code, Title 5, Chapter 20, Article 3 and 4, regarding the removal of any personal property unlawfully stored or found in a city park, any street, or any public parking lot or public area, improved or unimproved, as introduced at the August 14th, 2018 City Council meeting. Councilmember Escar?
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart?
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Mayor Soisa?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. Moving on to 7A, a request to adopt updated cost recovery percentages and the schedule of fees and charges for city services to include city recreational services. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This would supersede and replace the resolution from 2017, adopts updated cost recovery percentages and a new schedule for fees and charges. If you look at the attachments, the fee recovery approaches 100% in a large number of cases. We are proposing a somewhat smaller fee recovery in certain areas, mainly as a matter of public policy. So, for example, you'll see that we don't make an effort to collect 100% of, or assess 100% of the cost of booking picnic areas in our parks. You know, we want to keep those costs reasonable and open, and at least receive some contribution toward administrative costs. You'll notice that animal services fees are not a 100% cost recovery. We think it's in everybody's best interest to get those animals in permanent homes with as few barriers as possible. So again, you go through this, we are making, I think, a diligent effort to collect 100% of the cost of some of the more routine things, but we offer it up to council to decide at the policy level whether or not you'd like to curtail those costs for other activities.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council on this item? Okay, questions from the audience on this item? Okay, bringing it back, what's the pleasure of the council for more discussion or to pass? What are we looking at? All right, do I have a second for that? All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Jacob, second by Councilmember Scare. Clerk, please call the roll.
Superseding and replacing resolution number 2017-227 and adopting updated cost recovery percentages and the schedule of fees and charges for city services to include city recreational services pursuant to Turlock Municipal Code Section 3-3-301 et sec. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soyset.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much for your hard work on that. Moving on to 8A, a requested determined city project number 13-65, intersection improvements at North Olive Avenue and Wayside Drive is exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act and appropriate funds and award a bid and approving an agreement. Mr. Bray.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Items before you tonight are related to a future construction project to install a traffic signal at the intersection of Olive and Wayside. The city applied for and was awarded a Highway Safety Improvement Program, or HSIP grant, to signalize this intersection. Since the award of the grant from Caltrans, staff has worked through preliminary design, environmental assessments, property acquisition, and now final design. This project will install a traffic signal at the intersection, along with intersection lighting, access ramps, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and widen Olive Avenue to 4 lanes for a distance of approximately 500 feet. The project will also construct speed humps on Wayside approaching the intersection to reduce the speed of the vehicles as they navigate through the intersection. This project has 3 different funding sources: federal HSIP funds, city Section 2103 gas tax funds, and city capital facility fee funds. The federal HSIP grant funds amount to approximately $338,800. The city's Section 2103 gas tax funds amount to approximately $75,000. The remaining city CFF funds amount to $727,200, of which $167,200 have previously been budgeted. Being a federally funded project, both CEQA and NEPA are applicable. Caltrans has determined this project to be exempt from the provisions of NEPA, which are the National Environmental Protection Act. And in accordance with Section 15301, existing facilities, and/or Section 15183, projects consistent with the community plan or zoning of the CEQA guidelines, city staff has found this project to be exempt from the provisions of CEQA. So the first action for council tonight is to find this project exempt from the provisions of CEQA. The remaining actions, which can be taken together, are to appropriate $560,000 of CFF capital facility fees in the transportation component, to fund 215 to complete the necessary funding for the project, and to award the bid and approve an agreement to George Reed in the amount of $697,295 for the construction of the project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely. Any questions? Yes, Councilmember Bublak.
So just for anybody listening out there, you're saying that you're fixing this intersection and then you're gonna be putting speed bumps, but those speed bumps aren't gonna be on the present condition of the road as well. That will be fixed
Correct.
further down where they're putting this?
Correct. So there are 2 speed humps, and I say speed humps, not speed bumps. They're longer, but just for clarification. There will be 2 speed humps on Wayside as you approach the intersection. There will not be speed humps on Olive. The existing pavement condition will be, it'll be repaved. You'll have a smooth pavement in that area.
All right, additional comments? Yes, Councilmember Scare.
The other question that comes up, everybody wants us to fix all the roads, but they also want to know how long is it going to take?
Yep, so if council chooses to award this contract tonight, the estimated time to get a contractor under an executed contract with the proper insurance is about 1 month. There is about a 3.5 to a 4 month lead time on the order of signal equipment. So with that being the case, I would anticipate the signal work to start roughly 5 months from when the time the contract is awarded. The project has physical construction that needs to occur, that can occur when the signal poles are being ordered. So I would anticipate, depending on weather, now we're going into the winter, so depending on weather, that construction would start sometime around the first of the year, and I would expect it to be completed within probably 3.5 months after it started.
To piggyback off of Councilmember Bubak's question, I know that Wayside was discussed with potential use of SB1 funds or potentially on a list at some point of funds. Is there a way to coordinate that, or is it just too far? Because we do need to get this intersection taken care of. It is a safety risk. There's a lot of different issues with this intersection.
Correct, yeah, and so the action before you tonight is we are approaching our deadline to award a contract within the timeframes allowed for this specific program. Excuse me. We will be bringing back to council at a later council meeting in regards to the use of the SB1 funds. If you remember, in May, we had developed a list. We had identified Wayside Avenue to be a project on that list, and we had also expressed that that list is flexible within the current fiscal year. And so we will be bringing that back before council. If the direction is to move forward with Wayside, that type of work shouldn't happen during the winter. So we could coordinate it so that it does kick off once the signal maybe is wrapping up. So we could coordinate those schedules to the best that we can.
I know that Wayside and Headstrom were both kind of at the top of that list, if my memory serves correctly, and so we could just coordinate to make sure residents aren't impacted.
Sorry. Wayside is on the list from Gear to Olive.
Correct, okay. Councilmember DeHart.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't think there's a whole lot of disagreement up here. Anybody that knows that intersection has traveled down Olive or traveled across on Wayside fully understands the risks involved at a four-way stop. With a right-hand turn lane if you're headed south on Olive onto Wayside. It is a very, very dangerous intersection. We've got students crossing there. We've got multiple cars coming from multiple directions that are frankly very unsafe. I would, I believe, agree with the majority of the council that we need to advance this, and I would so do.
All right, so we do have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, seconded by Vice Mayor, Councilmember Bublak. Is there any public comment? Sorry, I just don't want to skip too quick. No additional comment, but I will allow, absolutely, Council. Everyone's very eager to get this off the ground.
Nathan, the funding for this is from SB1, right?
No, the funding for this is through a federal grant that we received through the Highway Safety Improvement Program, as well as city Section 2103 gas tax funds and city capital facility fees. So those are fees that we collect throughout the development of the city.
Okay.
The SB1 funds would be potentially for the pavement from Gear to
Correct. The SB1 funds are a separate project that would potentially improve the surface on Wayside, where we left off with this project down towards Gear.
Okay, got it. And all of these funds have already been collected?
All of these funds have already been collected, correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, I'm glad that the council is very eager to get this off the ground, because this is, you're right, not only an unsafe intersection for motorists, but also for pedestrians. And I think that we definitely need to tackle this as soon as possible. So we have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Councilmember Bublak. Clerk, please call the roll.
Determining city project number 13-65, intersection improvements at North Olive Avenue and Wayside Drive is exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, in accordance with Section 15183, projects consistent with a community plan or zoning, and Section 15301, existing facilities of the CEQA guidelines. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soiseth.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. What's the pleasure of the council for the resolution in motion?
And Mayor, I'll advance both the resolution and motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Councilmember Esquer. Clerk, please call the roll.
Appropriating $560,000 to account numbers 215-40420, 38001, 230, transfers in from Fund 305, Wayside/Olive Signal 1365, and 305-40440, 48001, 230, transfers out to Fund 215, Wayside Olive Signal 1365, to be funded from Fund 305, Capital Facility Fees Roadways, unallocated reserves to provide local match funding for city project number 13-65, intersection improvements at North Olive Avenue and Wayside Drive, awarding bid and approving an agreement in the amount of $697,295, Fund 215 with George Reed, Inc. of Modesto, California, for city project number 13-65, intersection improvements at North Olive Avenue and Wayside Drive. Councilmember Esquer,
Yes.
Councilmember DeHart.
Yes.
Councilmember Bublak,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Mayor Soiseth.
Yes, motion's carried 5-0. Thank you so much. Moving on to staff updates. We have none except for a verbal update, I think, by Mr. Bray. Is that correct?
I forgot I was up again, sorry.
You're good.
So I have updates on transit and Measure L and also our building activity. I'll start off first with the transit. We've installed the first of 20 solar photovoltaic light bus stop signs. That was installed today. These are in locations that will not have bus shelters. They are in locations that are poorly lit. And they are, locations that we already currently have a bus stop. And so we've installed photovoltaic lights on existing poles and enhance the signage to try and make the area more safe for the pedestrians waiting for the bus. And so there are 19 more of these that will be deployed throughout the city. I expect all of those to be completed the remainder of the calendar year.
Great.
Measure L.
Where's just one?
The first one,
yeah,
the one
yeah,
that was
we wanna-
installed today, is near the northwest corner of Gear and Hawkeye.
We're gonna have a
so
Brown
it's-
Act violation out there. All of us are gonna go right at the meeting to go see it. Yeah, hang on.
So it is on Hawkeye on the north side, just
Oh, yeah.
just west of
Great,
Gear. By
great.
that, there's that lone house right there.
Very exciting.
Yes. Measure L, the West Main project is currently under construction, as I'm sure everyone's aware of. We've run into some unknown underground utility issues, and we're working through those. They have slowed things up a little bit, but we are working through those. We're conducting weekly meetings with our contractor to make sure that we're looking ahead at the schedule 4 weeks out to try to address any issues that could potentially arise and address them before they arise. And a majority of the curb ramps on phase 1 and a majority of the 21-inch sewer line, which is a master plan sewer line on West Main from Tully to Soderquist, has been installed. In a week and a half, we will start work on the intersection of Main and Soderquist. We've been in coordination with the school district, and the contractor is phasing their operations to be as careful and as less impactful as possible. In terms of building activity, the building activity permit has slowed down. But planning and engineering permits are up. We have some large industrial revisions that are in the works, and those will possibly be moving forward and kicking up the building permits. So I say this, the building permit activity is a little bit slower than normal, but there's a lot of things that are in play. It's not being seen across the board. So that's the update. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook, I have a note. Do you have something, or is it just written? Oh, yeah, come on up. Perfect. No, absolutely. He has a written update here, so thank you so much. City manager comments. Anything?
Yes, I have a 8:50 flight out of Sacramento in the morning, so I'll not stand between us and.
All right, sounds good. That works.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Matters to date for the agenda, non-agenda items. City manager or city attorney. I'm not seeing any. City council items for future consideration. Looking left, looking right, seeing none. Council comments. Left, right. Yes, Councilmember Bublak.
I just want to speak in reference to public participation and the gentleman, Charlie. He asked me so many times, in the last year I've asked so many times, so please, Mr. City Manager, can you take care of this? We even went to so much as to find out that it was actually on an agenda on a Saturday in the middle of a budget discussion that was a workshop, which never got voted on. So the guy's not gotten the best customer service from us, and I feel really bad about it, so please, let's catch up with him.
I'm sure we can do better, and as he was speaking, I was frantically flipping through the fee schedule adopted tonight to see if it was included there, and it's not. And my questions are gonna be, okay, well, if it's not, where is it and why, and how do we get there? But we will look into it, and thanks for bringing it back.
Thank you. Any additional comments? All right, closed session items. City attorney, what do we have?
Mayor, we have 2 items on closed session. First item, public employee appointment pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957B1, title City Attorney. The second item is conference with labor negotiators, California Government Code Section 54957.6A, agency negotiator, mayor, unrepresented employee, city attorney.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn to closed. Got a second. We have a motion by Councilmember DeHart, second by Councilmember Bublak. All those in favor say aye. 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 We're adjourned.